أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم عبد الله ورسوله. أما بعد, we thank the Almighty Allah for giving us an opportunity to be here. We thank Him for His mercies that He's bestowed upon us. We bear witness that there is no deity worthy of worship except the Almighty Allah. We also bear witness that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is His servant and His messenger. Whosoever the Almighty Allah guides is really guided, and anybody who goes astray has nobody to blame but themselves. I believe today is a Thursday, the 14th day of Jumada al-Ula, 1444 years after the Hijrah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which also corresponds with the 8th day of December 2022. Normally this is the class of Imam Noor, but Imam Noor is engaged in something that makes it quite difficult for him to have the class. So I'm just stepping in. At least the class must go on. And obviously we'll not be going to Sahih Bukhari, because to go through a hadith you need to prepare. Look at the chain of narrations. Obviously Bukhari's chain of narration is not something that there are questions about. No, the chain of narration of Bukhari and Muslim are clean, but the wording itself in the hadith is something you need to look at, because the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's message is very unique, and you can't just get up because you understand the Arabic language and say you're going to explain. It's the same thing with the Quran too. And it's not something that you just get up and then pick the Quran and open and say because you speak Arabic language or you are Arab, so you can just get up and then do tafsir of the Quran or do explanation of the hadith. You need to study, read, at least a couple of hours or even a day, because there is a lot of rich information in there that you need to get. There is this verse in Surah Al-Baqarah where the Almighty Allah says, إِنَّ الصَّفَا وَالْمَرْوَةَ مِنْ شَعَائِرِ اللَّهِ فَمَنْ حَجَّ الْبَيْتَ أَوْ اعْتَمَرَ فَلَا جُنَاحَ عَلَيْهِ أَنْ يَطَّوَّفَ بِهِمَا فَمَنْ تَطَوَّعَ خَيْرًا فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ شَاكِرٌ عَلِيمٌ. That Safa and Marwa are amongst the signs of the Almighty Allah. And anytime you do the circumambulation between the two hills, there is no sin upon you if you do that. Abdullah ibn Zubayr ibn al-Awwam, when he came to explain this verse, he said Safa and Marwa is not compulsory in Hajj, because the verse says if you do it, there's no sin upon you. And then his auntie Aisha radiallahu anha says, no, that's not what the verse means. The reason behind the revelation of the verse is that in Jahiliyyah, there were two idols on the mountain. On Safa, there was Na'ila, and then on Marwa was Isaf. So the kuffar in Jahiliyyah, when you do circumambulation between Safa and Marwa, they were going to rub on these idols as a source of seeking for blessing. So when the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, when they became Muslim, and then they were doing Safa and Marwa, they felt in them that they were doing something of Jahiliyyah, that they were doing something that was sinful. So the Almighty Allah revealed the verse that, no, don't worry. When you do Safa and Marwa, there's no sin upon you, because you're not repeating what was being done in Jahiliyyah. So if you take the literal meaning of the verse, it will let you know that Safa and Marwa is not compulsory, there's no sin, but that's not the reason behind the verse. You need to know the reason why the verse was revealed before you're able to explain the verse. So that's just a general message concerning, preparing for a class, and for the fact that you speak Arabic or you understand Arabic. That doesn't give you, the open door policy to just pick any book to say you're going to teach. No, you need to study the book. And then alhamdulillah, we have a lot of explanations of most of the books that we have. So as a student of knowledge, you just need to sit down and then read those books. Now,
between Safa and Marwa.
Now,
I thought it was Sayyidina Ibrahim's wife that ran.
yes, Safa and Marwa, actually that is where it started. Sayyidina Ibrahim, his wife Hajara did Safa and Marwa. But as time went on, Hajj became, that act became part of Hajj. And then the kuffar over time changed. The history behind it is that as time went by, the generations were moving away and the generations were coming. The introduction of idol worship was brought into Makkah. And they're saying that the history says that there is a man called Amr ibn Lu'ay from the tribe of Khuza'ah. He traveled from Makkah to Syria, and then he saw that they had idols, and then he loved the idea. So he brought a big one called Hubal, and then they placed it in the Kaaba. So as time went on, they started creating their own smaller idols and stuff like that until get to a point whereby the Kaaba alone housed 360 idols. And almost everybody had an idol, special idol. So that was how idol worshipping came. So they placed these idols at vantage points in the holy city. So on Safa, they placed one idol. On Marwa, they placed one idol. So the original Safa and Marwa is an act of worship the Almighty Allah ordained. But because they fused in, this idol worship, they just garnished it and turned it into something. So you find idols near Hajar al-Aswad, you find idols near Al-Hijr, you find idols near Al-Multazam, and stuff like that. And they had idols all over in the houses, everywhere. So when the Sahaba became Muslims and then Islam ordained them to still go back and do Hajj, and they do the circumambulation as how Hajar, the wife of Ibrahim, did, they felt in their heart as if that some form of idol worship. And Almighty Allah says, no. You don't have any problem if you do circumambulation between, Safa and Marwa, because it is not a sin. Because Allah already ordained it through Hajar to the world. So this is how idol worship came into being into the Arabian Peninsula. When you observe the world now, for our substantive topic today, when you observe the world now, we've come very far, and realize that we now have serious economic policies that governments across the world want to put in place policies, but then people are getting poorer and poorer, and that's a fact. You realize that the rich are always getting poor. We've advanced in science and technology, especially in the field of medicine, but then the diseases that we have now were not there 100 years ago. It's a fact.
Yes.
We have developed all forms of weapons. Our military might is strong. And most countries say we develop these weapons so that we have peace and stability. But the world is more in chaos now than it was. So if you observe, the more the world advances, the more the problems come. And you always think about solutions of, okay, how do we solve the poverty gap? We always think about that. How do we, eradicate diseases? How do we eradicate, poverty? We have all these ideas and, scientists and think tanks and all these stuff. But then there is one place that we don't look for the solution. That is in ourselves. We forget that we are the ones who cause the poverty. We forget that we are the ones who cause the wars. We forget that we are the ones who cause all these diseases. The Almighty Allah says in the Quran, ظهر الفساد في البر والبحر بما كسبت أيدي الناس لِيُذِيقَهُمْ بَعْضَ الَّذِي عَمِلُوا لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْجِعُونَ. That chaos and confusion has become apparent on the surface of the earth بِمَا كَسَبَتْ أَيْدِي النَّاسِ, because of what you human beings have done. Like all the problems you see that the world is facing, it is caused by us. Because sometimes you go into business and one person's salary is equal to 100 people working in the same company. That's a fact. And that one person, what does he do? He just, sometimes only signing. But still we say we want to eradicate poverty. And sometimes the economic policies are such that the big and the wealthy want to exempt them from paying taxes, but then the poor are the ones who are paying taxes. So it is what we are doing. And sometimes these very people who are the ones who receive all these tax havens and all these tax exemptions, they are the ones who sit on the table to discuss how to eradicate poverty. It's not going to work. That's a fallacy. It's never going to work. Because they will never bring in rules or policies that will make them pay taxes or increase their taxes or reduce the taxes for the poor people. There's a hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Abdullah ibn Umar says one day the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Medina gathered them. He said, "Ya ma'ashar al-muhajirin, khisalun khams, in ibtulitum bihin, wa a'udhu billahi an tudrikuhun." He said there are 5 things. In ibtulitum bihin, if you are being tested with them, وَأَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ أَن تُدْرِكُوهُنْ, and I seek Allah's refuge that you, my Sahaba, you don't see those things. I ask Allah, you shouldn't see those things. He said, لَمْ تَظْهَرِ الْفَاحِشَةُ فِي قَوْمٍ قَطْ حَتَّى يُعْلِنُوا بِهَا إِلَّا فَشَى فِيهِمُ الْأَوْجَاءُ وَالْأَسْقَامُ الَّتِي لَمْ تَكُنْ فِي أَصْلَافِهِمُ الَّذِينَ مَضَوْا. That profanity and promiscuity, anytime it is spread across and then it becomes something that is okay and normal for everybody, then the Almighty Allah will send to us diseases that our fathers do not know of. And we are seeing it. 100 years ago, there was nothing like HIV/AIDS. They didn't know it. But because we've promoted promiscuity, and now in the world, if you want to be famous, just strip naked on TikTok or Snapchat or Facebook, you become famous. You get money. You become a celebrity. The people we call celebrities are people who are morally corrupt. The people we see as stars are people who are sexually perverted. And this is what is going on in the world. And that's how pitiful and how dangerous it is. Our television, problem. The radio, problem. Our phones, problem. Even on Facebook, you're on Facebook and they send you reels or short videos or short clips of these people. Even on YouTube, you are watching an Islamic video, a video of a da'wah, and then an ad comes in, and then the ad is, it's as if they target those videos to send you those ads. And then the thing behind this is that those people have understood that when you strip women of their dignity and of their reputation, you destroy the world. You can do that. Because with all due respect, the elders and the fathers are here. We men are inclined towards women. It's a natural addiction. So if they want to destroy any nation, introduce nudity in the community and then you destroy the nation. So the idea of the hijab has now become something that everybody wants to fight. This is oppression. They are covering the woman. They are hiding the woman. The women do not have say. We need to liberate them. We need to, free them. They need to be independent, strong, and powerful women. So they bring all these sweet words, and then the women are confused. They feel, no, this is the way to go. So what is independent, free, and powerful? Strip naked. That's what they mean. Go out there and do whatever you want to do. Have whatever relations you want to have with all kinds of men. You are independent. It is your body, your choice. Do whatever you want to do with it. We graduated to another level where some men say they don't want men. They don't want women. They want men. That's how we've graduated. See me, this is my hard body. You say you want me. This is my hard body. Look at even my cheeks are very, very hard. You say you want me. Not me. This is where we've got to. And you see, the problem with the world today, that we have, the soccer World Cup going on now. The problem that these countries have with Qatar has got nothing to do with the fact that Qatar is not, a soccer nation. Qatar is not no. It's all about all these issues, the alphabet people. It's all about them. And if you go against the alphabet community, they cancel you. You are censored. So definitely you will find all kinds of diseases coming around. And if you check, go to the World Health Organization's website and then look for STDs, sexually transmitted diseases or sexually transmitted infections. HIV/AIDS is high and more prevalent in gay men. That's a fact. So they spent millions of dollars of taxpayers' money in getting them all these antiretroviral drugs because they want to suppress, the virus. But then it's not going to work. It's very clear and straightforward that Islam says no intimate relationship between a man and another man. No intimate relationship between a man and a woman that are not even married. It's clear. We've got to a point whereby if it is consent, a man and a woman who are not married, and they can have their own thing if it is consent. Islam says there's nothing like that. If you follow the news, I think a couple of days ago, is it yesterday or the day before yesterday, the Parliament of Indonesia has banned zina in their country.
Very good.
The Parliament of Indonesia, they passed the law.
Very good.
You cannot have sex before marriage, and that's it.
Good.
You see, people in the world must understand that people have their cultures, they have their values. If your value is this, and someone else's value is different, just respect their values, and that's it. It's simple. Enough of the hypocrisy that the world is peddling, that some people feel they are the custodians of morality and moral values, that what they say goes, what other persons do is wrong. No. The other problem is that in some countries in the world, and especially some African countries, I think it is something that is even rampant in the world, man. You can't get married until you are 18. But then you can start having sex when you are 16. For me, in Ghana, it's the law. And I know Ghanaian law because I'm from there. You cannot get married until you are 18. But as for sex, you can start having sex when you are 16, and there's nothing wrong with that. So by the time the girl is 18, she's already a veteran. And that is the problem. And the other thing is that you have 12, 13, 14-year-old single mothers. Go and check the statistics. Teenage pregnancy is on the high now. And most often than not in the third world countries or in the villages, but even in first world countries. Because in the third world countries and in the villages, They are traditional communities, so these things are not rampant. But then in the developed countries where we are exposed, we are modern people, we are advanced people, we know the world more, we understand the world better, it's okay. So your 13-year-old girl is in your house, she's exposed to TikTok, she's exposed to Snapchat, she's exposed to all these kinds of, all these kinds of social media apps, and then she goes to school, she has a boyfriend, he's nice, she's nice, and she's free and independent within the community. By the time you realize your 13-year-old girl is pregnant. This is the danger of fawahish in our communities. So it's important that we always introduce Islamic values in our homes. Because yes, when the kid is in the house, you have all kinds of mechanisms that you can use to educate them. But then when they go out, who do they meet outside? What do they learn? All these things are key. Because don't forget, the Prophet Muhammad says, "Kullukum ra'in wa kullukum mas'ulun an ra'iyatihi." All of us are shepherds, and Almighty Allah will question us concerning what flock He gave us on the day of Qiyamah. So look at the diseases that we have now. Some of the diseases you can't even mention the name because the words are very long. And they're still researching on what solutions to have or what medical or medicines to solve those diseases or to heal or cure those diseases. But they know very well that when you treat people and then you teach them good values, those things will stop. The Prophet Muhammad says this is the first one. Promiscuity in our communities. He says, وَلَمْ يَنْقُصُ الْمِكْيَالَ وَالْمِيزَانَ. If the community will always do underhand dealings, Mikyal and Mizan are scales where, in those times and even some parts of the world, but even here, you go to the grocery store, you want to buy something, maybe oranges or bananas, they weigh it for you, right? They weigh it. So if there's going to be any underhand dealings in there, which is what? Sometimes some of the people will just relax the knot, unscrew it a little bit, or tighten it. So you put, and then straight forward, it goes to 1 kilo when it's already half kilo. Yes, they do it. That's what they do. Sometimes the bowls that they use to measure, they knock under it, so it protrudes inside. So it's not going to be 1 kilo. Or what they do is they melt candle on the base. So they melt candle on the base. So like 3/4 or a quarter or 1/5 of the whole thing, they've melted candle on the base. So you feel that you've bought 1 kilo of rice from that bowl, it is not up to 1 kilo. And he who has done this to you is very happy. I'm very smart. I'm very smart. I saw a video, Dr. Mohammed Salah of Egypt posted a video on his Facebook page. I think it's a guy in Bangladesh. He was selling, some things, just selling some of these things. And then the pack with which he sells the thing, he placed it on the scale to weigh it. And then the pack was 4 grams. And then the guy who was buying the thing asked him, why are you weighing the pack? He said, I'm weighing it to know it's 4 grams. So that when I put in whatever I put in for you, when I put it on the scale, if it comes 100 grams, it means that what you have bought is 96 grams. I need to add 4 more grams on it. So he said, yes. The Almighty Allah will question me. Because this packet or this polythene is just for you to be able to carry it to your house. But you want to buy a rice of 100 grams? This is it. The pack is not part of it. So this is the mentality. But no. These underhand dealings, this is only on the market. When you go to big corporations, it's only about adding zeros. just add 1 0. And that's it. If it's 100,000, you just place 1 0 there, and that's it. 1 million. And then he's okay. He feels he's smart. That's what he used to build big homes, buy luxurious cars, buy all this jewelry for his family, send his kids to all the expensive schools. They get up tomorrow, become big people, and they insult our kids. Your daddies were not smart. No, our daddies were not thieves. That's a fact. Our daddies were not thieves. One day the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ went to the market. Then he found someone selling grapes. And then he put his hand in the grains to check them. When he dipped his hand into it, he pulled his hands out and then they were wet. It's like, what happened? The guy has put wet grains, below in the container, and then he brought the dried grains on top. And the Prophet said, what happened? He said, Ya Rasulullah, last night there was a rain and then part of the grains got wet and, people will not want to buy. So he said, no. Bring out the wet grains one side and say, these are wet grains and these are the dry ones. This is the price of the wet grains and this is the price of the dry grains. Whoever wants to buy, let them buy. Anyone who cheats us is not part of us. Part of this is at our workplaces. We're supposed to report at 9 a.m. You go there at 9:30 or 10 a.m. We're supposed to close at 5. By 4, we are already gone. There's no supervisor. We choose to do whatever we want to do. It's all part of it. We are all part of the mess that is going on, whether it is economic, whether it's medicinal, whether it's morally. We are all part of it. The blame is not on the doorstep of other people. It's on all our doorsteps. If I sweep in front of my house and you sweep in front of your house and he sweeps in front of the house, the streets will be clean. But then if we leave it to the government or the city or the state or the department to do that, you and I are the ones who work in the department, you and I are the ones who work in the city, you and I are the ones who work in the department and the state. So at the end of the day, nobody is expecting nobody to do the work that nobody is going to do. The Prophet Muhammad says, if we do that, if we reduce this and then we cheat people, we've got to a point in time whereby I'm going to the market to buy something. And all what is going in my mind is that I'm going to find ways and means to trick the guy who is selling. And the guy who is selling is also waiting for me to come so that he's also going to trick me. So the mindset has been corrupted that if I'm going to the market, it's that I'm going to just go and get what I want to get. That's it. During the time of Umar ibn Khattab, one day he was going through the streets of Medina at night. And then he heard a woman telling her daughter, get up, get up, get up. It's almost Fajr. Mix the milk with water so that we can get more to sell in the market. And Umar, he went further to listen, what's going on? And then the daughter said, no, mommy, this is wrong. It's not okay. Umar had warned against doing this. And then the mother said, Umar has warned against it. Is Umar here? Umar is not here. And the daughter said, if Umar is not here, the God of Umar is here. He sees us. So Umar marked the house. And then he went, and the following morning, he sent someone to call the woman and her daughter. When they came, he asked the girl, why were you scolding your mother last night? And they were like, how can you know this? And then she said, this is what happened, and I was scolding her. She's doing something which is wrong. I said, okay, no problem. You can go. And then he gathered his sons. And then he said, who amongst you is going to marry the daughter of the milk seller? They were like, we are the sons of the head of state. We're going to marry a milk daughter, a milk woman's daughter. We are big boys, man. And Umar said, okay, no problem. If none of you is willing to marry her, I'm going to marry her. You're like, okay, daddy, we'll marry her. So Asim married her. And then they gave birth to a lady called Layla. And Layla later got married to Abdullah ibn Marwan. I think so. Abdulaziz ibn Marwan. And Abdulaziz ibn Marwan gave birth to Umar ibn Abdulaziz. If you have time, read about the history of Umar ibn Abdulaziz. That is where his mother came from. You know, we have 4 Khulafa, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, and Ali. He is considered the 5th. Even though he came later. But then the justice and then the goodness he did, some historians consider him Khamis Khulafa al-Rashidin. He's the 5th of the, pious caliphs that passed. So this is what Islam teaches us. La darara wa la dirara. Don't cheat people and then not accept people to cheat you. And that's it. The Prophet ﷺ says, if you go on doing that, when we cheat people of their wares, we go to the market to squander people's, to scam them. Sometimes you find young men, they are into frauding, and then they say they are hustling. You're not hustling, you are a thief. That's a fact. You see, let's not use beautiful words to describe some people. When people are doing something wrong, let's not use nice words. And we got to a point in time whereby, especially this was what was going on in Africa, it's still going on, where you have young boys who scam people of their monies. They get their credit card PIN numbers and stuff like that, and then they clear their people's accounts. Someone is in America, Western world, Europe, working day and night, and then you find ways and means of getting access to his account, and then you sweep everything in there, buy luxurious homes, buy luxurious cars and stuff like that, and then the community hears them, yo, this guy is a hustler, they are thieves. And the day of Qiyamah, you will pay. A lot of people had to have all kinds of heart disease here in America because someone sitting somewhere is just, pulling their monies and then stealing their monies. It's still going on. I know of a boy. I say this, but it hurts me to say that. We've got to a point whereby people, Muslims, young men, engage in voodoo to make money. Yes. They go and then they are being told to bring human heads because they want to make money. Yes. In the neighborhood that I'm in Ghana, Kaswa, a 14-year-old boy, a 16-year-old boy killed a 13-year-old boy because that 16-year-old boy was told that if he brings a human head, you will make millions. He killed him. And these people are Muslims. So that is why the discussion of Tawheed and Aqidah is always important, all the time. Because if you live in a community where I'm told that if I bring your head, I'll make $250 million, are you safe? You're not safe. Because you just pass by the parking lot, I just chop your head off, put it in my car, I'm gone. This young guy is part of the stories that they said they went and then they did all kinds of sacrifices and then he had money. He got to a point where he's in Ghana, he doesn't spend cedis, he spends dollars. If he buys anything, it's in dollar. The cars that he uses, they cannot be serviced in Ghana. They have to fly them to Europe or America for servicing. He had homes even in South Africa. One day he was in his house and then he saw only a hand floating in the air. He started receiving slaps. Now he's 50% mad. He's not 100%. If it is 100%, you are gone. But 50% is on and off. It's like electricity. Back, back. It goes and comes. It goes and comes. This is what people are doing to get money. And sometimes some of us here, I'm saying back home in Africa, some people feel, even some of us here are engaged in it. oh, I'm in America and then things are not going on well, so you go and see the Marabu so that they do one or two things for me so that I can be successful. And then, yes, so he's here in America, but he's sending dollars to people back home in Africa to steal babies from hospitals or to just twist some young people's necks so that he can be successful here in America. It's all part of it. Allah. Today, the phone wants to be the Mu'adhin. The Prophet said, if we do that, if we deceive people of their wealth, we cheat people, we do underhand dealings, we steal from the government, we do all kinds of things. He said, إِلَّا أُخِذُوا بِالسِّنِينَ وَشِدَّةِ الْمَعُونَةِ وَجَوْرِ السُّلْطَانِ عَلَيْهِمْ. Life will be tough on us. Life will be tough on us. And then we'll have leaders who will not have mercy upon us. The leaders will always clamp on us, tighten things on us, punish us, give us all kinds of taxes, and then all kinds of policies are there that you can't even breathe. This is what is going on in the world. The leaders are not pitiful. They don't care. They're only interested in putting in place their policies and making their money. That's it. You think they care? They don't care. If there's a policy whereby there's going to be contracts and stuff like that, it's a circle. It's a class. It's a clique. If you're not in there, you can't join them. And that's a fact. It's everywhere in the world. So you realize that those who go to all these big institutions, they are from a particular family or a particular school or a particular ideology. They always make sure it's their people who are there. You not even smell the aroma of the food for you to even eat. That's a fact. The Prophet said, وَلَمْ يَمْنَعُوا زَكَاةَ أَمْوَالِهِمْ. When people stop giving out zakat from their money, إِلَّا مُنِعُوا الْقَطْرَ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ. The Almighty Allah is not going to send rain. وَلَوْلَا الْبَهَائِمْ لَمْ يُمْطَرُوا. And if you see the rain come down, it's because of the animals. That is why the Almighty Allah sends down the rain. Do we give zakah? It's a question we need to ask ourselves. Me, I don't understand. The zakah, if you give it to the mosque, the imam will chop. Let the imam squander the money. He will go and meet Allah on the day of Qiyamah. Yours is to give out the zakah. That's why it's important that we have some of these, some of these institutions, Muslim institutions, to run these things. We talk about Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, right? His grandmother was the woman who was selling the milk. When he became Khalifa, they gathered zakat to a point whereby they were walking on the streets of the Muslim empire looking for a poor person to give him zakat, and there was no poor person. During the time of Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, every poor person come, there was no poor, everybody was okay. It's not that they were wealthy, no. They were okay and satisfied what they want, what they have. Then he gave an announcement. Everybody who is owing money to someone, come. Your debt will be paid. And then they gave another announcement. Every bachelor who wants to get married and then he doesn't have the means of getting married reports to the state. He reported to the state, and then all the bachelors got married. Then every person who has a slave, and then he's going to free the slave, come. The freeing of the slave is on the state. The state is going to pay you whatever money. You see, when the Almighty Allah instituted zakat, is that تُؤْخَذُ مِنْ أَغْنِيَائِهِمْ وَتُرَدُّ عَلَى فُقَرَائِهِمْ. That is, the money is taken from the rich and then it is given to the poor. So that there's going to be a balance of what? Of wealth in the community. So that you, the rich person, you will have the peace of mind to do your businesses without someone holding a knife to your neck You see, sometimes all this robbery and all this carjacking and all this snatching is because people do not have enough. And I'm not in a way justifying that. No, that's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is that if a young person, 14, 15, 16-year-old, is in school, is learning a job, or has a job, or is in a home, he has his car, and he has things that he's okay with, why would he carjack someone? Why? Why would he go into a grocery store and pull out a gun and then tell them to empty the cash register, which is about $200 or $300? Why would he do that? If at the end of the month he's working and he earns at least $3,000 or $4,000, why would he want to go and then pull out a gun because of $10 and blow off someone's head? Why would he do that? So that is why the system of zakat is very, very important in the community, that is going to level the playing ground so that, yes, the rich will always be rich, but then the poor should have something that will keep them afloat. That you, the rich person, will have no peace of mind in doing your business. But no. Some rich people, they don't want you to be rich. They don't want you to come near them. And the moment you're a young person or you're a poor person, that they know you're poor, and then the Almighty Allah starts opening His doors for you, you become number one enemy. You see them, salam alaikum, wa alaikum salam. And the envy and jealousy sets in. He said, وَلَمْ يَنْقُضُوا أَحْدَ اللَّهِ وَأَحْدَ رَسُولِهِ إِلَّا سَلَّطَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِمْ عَدُوًّا مِنْ غَيْرِهِمْ. So long as the community will break the vows of Allah and His Prophet, the Almighty Allah will send for us a foreign person to come and suppress us. What is the vow of Allah and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? The problem that the Muslim world is facing now is that we've put aside the Quran and Sunnah and we are doing our whims and our caprices. This is what's happening to the Muslim world now. So everybody will come and do whatever they want to do, impose all kinds of things on us. This World Cup that is going on in Qatar, I believe it's a wake-up call for the Muslim world. It's an eye-opener. That when you stand for your values, people will have no excuse but to respect it. That's it. There are just 2.6 million people in Qatar. Just 2.6 million people. And they said, fine, we'll adhere to all the rules that FIFA, the Football Federation, the Soccer Federation, we agreed, we are adhere to that. Just a day or two before the World Cup, they said, we have traditions, we have cultures, we have laws in our country. If you want to come, you must respect our laws. If not, stay in your country. That's it. We don't allow for public affection. It doesn't matter whether it is a man and a woman, or a woman and a woman, or a man. We don't agree with public affection. That even if it's your wife, you cannot come just on the street and then you kiss her on the lips. It is not part of our culture. If it is part of your culture, do it in your country. We are not going to change our country within for you for only 28 days. That's it. We don't allow for drinking of alcohol. They even relaxed the alcohol rules. That no alcohol around the stadium. We saw what happened in the last European Cup final between England and who, where the fans went haywire. They drank alcohol and they almost destroyed the whole stadium. These people said, no, our country, we won't agree for that. Then some people said, they are going to go there to fight for rights of people. So they are going to wear the One Love armband to support the alphabet community. They said, we in our country, we don't allow this. So realize that there are videos. If you put on anything for the alphabet people, they drive you out of the stadium. I saw a video today. One guy was in the armband. They called him, the security called him. Leave. That's it. Muslims, wherever we are, and especially we live in a free world now, where everybody is allowed to practice whatever they believe in, so long as it is not detrimental to other people's, being. Practice your Islam. Don't hide. Don't be timid. Wherever you go, express your Islam. And I believe we live in one of the freest, if not the freest country in the world, where you are free to do whatever you want to do. And that nobody can just do whatever they want to do to you according to the law. I have a friend, we studied together. He's from Cameroon. As a few days we were having a chat, and he was asking me, about Islam in America. And I said, the kind of Islam that is practiced here, if you don't take time, the Muslims in America will enter Jannah before you are going to enter Jannah. He was like, hey, Chef, what are you saying? I said, the kind of Islam that is being practiced in America, if you're not careful, the Muslims in America will enter Jannah before you will enter. It's like, Chef, explain to me. I said, the Muslims in America are a different breed of people. They are not shy to practice their religion. The laws allow them to practice their religion. They are practicing their religion.
Allahu Akbar.
That's it. But you, sometimes you feel, and then there's this, and then there's that. I said, see, there are Muslim women in America who put on their niqab. They go wherever they want to go. They drive, they do whatever they want to do. They are practicing Islam. You go to the airports, you find Muslim women in their hijab, full hijab, in their niqab. You go, you find Muslims, officers, chaplains with their beards. They go wherever they want to go. So you see people with full beard, you see them with their nisfu sak, you see them in their thobs and in their jalbabs. They go everywhere. They are using the opportunity given to them in a state whereby it says it's freedom. Do whatever you want to do. So it's a big lesson to us. But then, the challenge that we have in this, I always say this, the freedom that we enjoy, let's uphold it. Allah. Let's safeguard it. And let's prepare the next generation of Islam with it. Because it's not enough for us to enjoy all this liberty. That as a Muslim, you cannot be discriminated upon in America, even though Muslims make about only 1% of the population. You stand for your rights. You go to the law courts, and the law doesn't see whether you are a Muslim or not. It sees a human being, and then so long as you don't do things that goes against the laws of the country, you are free to practice your religion. You register your mosques, you do whatever you want to do according to your religion, you are allowed. When it's time for Ramadan, even the White House hosts iftar in the month of Ramadan. But then, what about the next generation of Muslims? Because same way you are free to practice your Islam, somebody is also free to practice whatever they are practicing. And whatever they are practicing can seep in and then affect your kin. So how are you also blocking that, and then you are nurturing your son or your daughter on Islam? It's something that it's a double-edged sword. And we need to be careful how we use it. And I've always been particular about this, that it's not enough that we are Muslims and that's the end. No. Sometimes you find us that we are Muslims, yes, we go to our homes, and the Islam there is a little bit problematic. So let's hold steadfast, wallahi, to Islam. And we live in times whereby it's like having a coal of fire in your hand. It's burning you. When you throw it away, you've thrown away a jewel. That's where we are now. So let's hold steadfast. And then the last point, وَمَا لَمْ تَحْكُمْ أَئِمَّتُهُمْ بِكِتَابِ اللَّهِ. So long as we don't go by the laws of the Almighty Allah, that's also another problem. Okay, someone will ask this question. Okay, Chef, we are in America, it's not a Muslim state. And the Constitution has some things in there. Are we sinful for being in America? That's a question. The counter question is, if I'm American and I was born in America, if I accept Islam, should I leave America and go somewhere else? No. We live in a world where the world is expansive and the da'wah must reach everybody. So if we say, no, these countries, they are kuffar, don't go there. If you go and live there, it's haram. How will Islam reach them if Muslims did not travel across? If the Sahaba didn't travel across, Islam would have remained only in the Arabian Peninsula. So they went across, lived in non-Muslim areas, spread Islam. If the Sahaba or the Muslims have not traveled to Indonesia, will we have Muslims in Indonesia now? Or you have almost 300 million people and they are all Muslims. If the Sahaba had not traveled across to the North Africa, to even West Africa, would have had Islam? No. So this idea of Kafir land, Muslim land, yeah, it is there, it is in our fiqh. But then the scholars are saying, any country where you are allowed to practice the 5 pillars of Islam is a place you can stay. Any country, any land where you are allowed to practice the 5 pillars of Islam is a country where you can stay. So if there's any country that doesn't allow you to pray 5 times a day, then it is not halal for you to stay in that country. If there's any country that doesn't allow you to fast the month of Ramadan, then it is not halal for you to stay in that country. If any country is there that doesn't allow you to do your Hajj, then it is not a country where you can stay. The scholars are saying, if a place allows you to perform your 5 pillars of Islam, then it's allowed for you to stay in that country. And then try as much as possible to send the beautiful message of Islam. Last time I told us a conversation we had with Dr. Tahir, and he was saying that if we're able to get 1% of the white population to accept Islam, that's about 20-something million. And we the Muslims, they say we are about 2 to 3 million. That's what they say. Yeah. How many are we now?
2.5 million.
2.5 million. 3.5 million. 3.5 million. And the white population, they say, is around 200 and something million. So if you have 1% of that accepting Islam, that's 20 million. That's almost 6 times our number. So it is a fertile grounds for da'wah. But we need to look at the mechanisms and then the ways we are going to do da'wah. We need to look at the strategies we're going to put in place to do this da'wah. Because he made a profound statement almost a month ago, but I'm still thinking about it. You have West African mosques, you have African American mosques, you have Turkish mosques, you have Albanian mosques, you have all kinds of mosques for all these, different communities. But you never hear of white folk mosque. Have you heard of it? This white folk mosque. No, you don't hear of that. Why? The message of Islam is not for them? That was the question he asked. Is the message of Islam not for them? It's for the whole of humanity. Okay, how do we send that message to them? So if you say we are not going to get close proximity with non-Muslims, then the message of Islam is not for only a particular group of people, it's for the whole world. So sometimes to do da'wah, to do da'wah, you need to get closer to the person you are giving the da'wah to. So if you don't get close to him, how do you give him the da'wah? If someone is sick and then you need to give them the medicine, you don't go next to them, how do you give them the medicine? You can't give them the medicine. So it's important that in this point, wherever we find ourselves, in our workplaces, in our homes, especially our homes and our workplaces, da'wah is very, very important. You need to always download the antivirus. In your speech, in your mannerisms, in how you carry yourself in your workplaces, especially there, because America is a fertile place for us to do da'wah. Wallahi. It's not only about coming to make a living and then make money, you are an immigrant or you were born here and stuff like that. That's not the idea. You carry your Islam wherever you go. Even if it's one word, even if it's in your appearance, even if it's in your mannerism, even if it's in your character, let that non-Muslim smell something about Islam. And that should push him to ask a question. That you're a Muslim. What does Islam say? Give me the Muslim Bible. Something. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ told Imam Ali,
لأن يهدي الله بك رجلا واحدا خير لك من حمر النعم. If the Almighty Allah was to use you to guide one person to Islam, it is better for you than to have all the goodies of the world. It's better for you than to have all the goodies in the world. So strategic da'wah, that's the time that we're in now in the world. There's nothing forceful. You can't impose your ideas on people. No. Strategic da'wah. And then let's try as much as possible, even if the people do not accept Islam, we should get to a point whereby the level of antagonism towards Islam is reduced. What do I mean by this? Live a kind of life with non-Muslims to the extent that if they are bashing us on the media, then the Muslims say, no, this is media propaganda. I have a Muslim colleague, I have a Muslim co-worker, and this is not their lifestyle. Let they themselves defend us. Because of what? Because of how you carry yourself and how you deal with them. But then, if you say, these are kuffar, we have nothing to do with them, we don't do anything with them, you are stern on them, you scream, you shout, no. It doesn't work. It doesn't work that way at all. It's only done to those kuffar who have open warfare against Islam. Then that is the stand you take towards them. But then, if the non-Muslim has this softness for Islam, that is why even in zakat, وَالْمُعَلِّفَةُ قُلُوبُهُمْ, there are people whose hearts are soft towards Islam. You give them zakat so that you pull them in. You give them so that you pull them in. So we need to really find strategies on how to bring people to Islam. The idea is not about us having the numbers. That's not the idea. The idea is about that being a stepping stone towards Jannah on the day of Qiyamah. It's not about us being a huge number of people in the world. No. It's that you have contributed your share and that person has seen the light. Because how would you feel that you have a non-Muslim neighbor, a non-Muslim co-worker, and then for all these years you've never shared one verse of the Quran with them? A few days ago I was in the hospital and the nurse came in, she saw my name and she said, what am I going to do? I said, call me Imam. He said, Imam? I said, it means a Muslim religious leader. Oh, so you're a Muslim? I said, yes. So you can see from my name, yes, I've seen the name, but I haven't seen this kind of name before. It looks strange. I said, yes, Abdul Hamid Bashir. Oh, wow. Imam. Can you spell it for me? I wrote it down for her. So when she comes in, Imam. And she asked me, which festivals do you celebrate? You know, these people, they are very curious. Which festivals do you celebrate? I said, we celebrate only 2 festivals in a year. Which? I said, in a year, we have a month in which we fast for 29 or 30 days. You fast, how do you do that? You drink water sometimes? I said, no. From dawn to dusk, no food, no water. She said, this is difficult. I said, no, but we train from when we are kids, 6, 7, 8, so it's okay. So after the period of fasting, we have a festival, a feast, to thank the Almighty for taking us through that month. That's very interesting. That's very, very interesting. And what's the other one? I said the other one is a feast of sacrifice. So we sacrifice animals, we slaughter animals. But the idea is not about slaughtering the animals. It's about sacrificing our whims and our caprices and our desires for a greater purpose. That we are ready to lay down our lives so that other people will have a better place to live in. So I don't know. That's a beautiful concept. Use every opportunity to call people to Islam. Wallah, use every opportunity. Umar ibn Khattab said, call people to Islam without words. They said, Amir al-Mu'minin, how can we call people to Islam when we are quiet? He said, through your manners, through how you deal with people. Do that. And then one person will just receive the message, he accepts Islam. And the day of Qiyamah, you come to Qiyamah, and Almighty Allah says, you see this guy, he accepted Islam through your efforts. Do you know how rewarding that is? And look, sometimes it's not us, the student of knowledge, that will sit on the mimbar and then we speak, people accept Islam. No, mostly it's you people. Those of you who come in to come and sit and listen, you are the carriers of the message. Wallahi, you are. And most of you are not. You come to the masjid and someone comes in, oh, he's my co-worker, he wants to accept Islam. He's my co-worker, he wants to accept Islam. And he's my friend, he wants to accept Islam. He's my neighbor, he wants to accept Islam. We the imams, you are always in the masjid. You are the ones in the community there, at the workplaces, at different places, whether you are truck drivers, whether you are taxi drivers, Uber drivers, or security, or register, or whatever jobs that you do, you always come into contact with non-Muslims. Wallahi, try as much as possible to push in the antibiotics. Give them the medicine. Give them the antidepressants. Give them, the Tylenols and then the Advils of Islam. If they don't accept Islam, even if they don't accept Islam, they have an understanding of what Islam is. So if there's anybody who is going to bash Islam, they will be among the frontline defenders of Islam. Thank you very much. I think our time is up. Maybe you have some questions, I know. Now,
you're talking about we have to change the society, like people that go to make this magic to get money.
now,
And all these things. When we were back in Africa, we were not working and we never had anything.
now,
But some of our friends went around in different countries and robbed people of their money, and they, they do this they can make money more, and they did, and they have. When they came back, they were a little bit wealthier, or
no,
they had cars, and they start sending people to Mecca.
no,
And you see, people, high places in the religion were taking them of high quality than some of us that were not doing nothing.
Yes.
When they say something, they were taking high. When they come in, they
No.
were praise, and they know the source of where they get the money from.
no,
So there was a guy that came from Saudi Arabia studying. I asked him, I said, look, nobody knew about child stealing in Nigeria. The kind of horror it caused in that country, and when beyond in the West African country, it caused all these problems. So I said, if in case child stealers sending somebody to Mecca, and this guy going to steal money from people and sending them, which one can God really accept? Then he was saying, he said, really, even though child stealer with all his wickedness, his money is not that as evil as somebody that goes to steal from other people. He said, probably I will take child stealer, because I will take child stealer, probably Allah may accept those that he sent to Mecca, because maybe he's in government now working, he's a president, even though he has done all the right thing. But those that go around saying they can make people money, 100 million, they take their money and come. And our religious leader there, they sit and they know what they are doing, they give them praise and they do that. So that's what I was just trying to.
Okay.
I don't know what your point of view would be.
You see, in Islam, with all due respect, you can't use urine to perform ablution. You get my point? You can't use urine to perform ablution. If you look at the picture of the Kaaba, or those of you who have gone to Makkah, Hajj, realize that there is a semicircle at one side of the Kaaba. A semicircle. You realize that? That place is originally part of the Kaaba. Originally. It is, if you are able to enter into that semicircle and pray those 2 units of rak'ah in there, it's like you've prayed in the Kaaba. Maybe in our Sirah class in 2 weeks' time, we'll speak about that. But just to say before we pray, when the Prophet Muhammad was 35 years old, there was a rainstorm that broke the walls of the Kaaba. So the Kuffar of Makkah instituted a committee that would raise funds to rebuild the Kaaba. And then they issued a communication. They said, if you use, subhanAllah, these are Kuffar in Jahiliyyah. They said, if your business is generated from alcohol, don't bring money for rebuilding of the Kaaba. If your business is from riba, usually interest, don't bring money for the building of the Kaaba. If your business entails prostitution and promiscuity, don't bring money for the building of the Kaaba. This was Kuffar. So the money that they were able to raise was not enough for them to build the whole thing. So they built half and then they left half. That is why you have the semicircle there. So when the Prophet Muhammad came Am al-Fathi, when he conquered Mecca, he told Aisha that Aisha, people are used to having this semicircle. If not, I would have destroyed the whole Kaaba and then built it whole again. The point I'm trying to make here is that if the kuffar in Jahiliyyah realize that it is not okay to bring haram money to the Kaaba, why will Muslims today want to go to Hajj or Umrah with haram money? It got to a point whereby the kuffar, if they're going to do tawaf around the Kaaba, the men, they go and do it naked. Do you know why? They said that their clothes, they bought it from haram money, and haram must not touch the Kaaba. That's the kuffar. So if kuffar before Jahiliyyah realize the sacred nature of the Kaaba and that haram must not come near it, why will a Muslim today with all this Islamic knowledge want to say that I can use, haram money and go to Makkah and Almighty Allah will forgive me? You are going with a wrong passport, wrong visa, and obviously a wrong flight ticket. It's better for you to stay than to take that haram money and then go to Makkah. When Almighty Allah said, "Liman istata'a ilayhi sabila," that is for those who can afford. Being able to afford means the money must be halal. The money must be halal. So you find out that some people who engage in all kinds of their voodoo, they get all the money and then they send 100 people to Makkah, 200 people to Makkah, thinking that the Almighty Allah, hey, you're going to bribe Allah. No, you can't. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين والسلام عليكم.
Alhamdulillah.